My name is Scott, and I am an alcoholic. This story pertains to making amends to my father when I was about 5 years sober. I had done another wonderful fourth and fifth step, and talking to my sponsor, we were talking about how I was not really happy with the relationship I had with my father growing up. I didn't feel satisfied with how our relationship went, and being 5 years sober, I spent a lot of time going to men's retreats and developing wonderful, caring, loving relationships and heart-to-heart conversations with other men, and felt like I had been missing out on that with my own father. Actually, I couldn't remember at the time ever having heard my father tell me out loud that he loved me, and that bothered me quite a bit. My sponsor at the time told me, he said, Scott, what you really have to do here is you have to make a change with the relationship with your father because he's probably not going to initiate that. So I started after a period of time. My father and I lived in the same town, probably a mile apart. So I went over almost at least weekly and started in a process of telling him that I loved him rather than waiting for him to tell me. The first attempt at that, all he could say was, "Me too." And I walked out the door and thought, well, that is better than what I have heard in the past. So anyway, over a few months, when I would go to visit, I would tell him, "Dad, I love you." After a while, he got kind of used to hearing that. And after a while, he would repeat back to me, "Scott, I love you too." During this period of time, I was hoping that we could develop a kind of relationship that I had with the other sober men in Alcoholics Anonymous, be able to discuss things that were on our hearts and our minds and spiritual matters. And as it worked out, a little background history was that for me to be able to spend time with my father, I used to have to go to work with him. That was the only time that I actually got to spend much time with him. He was the type of man that was a loving, caring father, but what he did for vacation was painted the house, and we never went on trips or camping or anything else. So I wanted to develop this relationship. As time went by, he was getting sicker and sicker, and he had been a smoker all of his life, and he developed emphysema and asbestosis, and he was losing weight and unable to move around, and was actually at the end cooped up in the house, and he weighed about 90 pounds. The moral of this story is that I tried to change the relationship and had hoped to have these deep, meaningful conversations. And the best I could do was he and I would sit and watch TV together, and that seemed to be all I could get him to do with me. The surprise to the end of this amends story is that I was with him the moment he died, and we were sitting watching TV, and he called my name. He says, "Scott, come here. I just want to see you again before I go." And what happened was I grabbed it, I touched his hand and looked at him, and he had a smile on his face. He had been very uptight and not comfortable for years and years and years because of his illness. And what I saw happen to him was that he had peace and ease come over him. And when I touched his hand, I knew at that moment it was a gift to me that we had had a loving, caring relationship all of our lives. And it just didn't need to be spoken or have those words, because it was a relationship that was love from the heart. So that was a special gift to me, not necessarily amends to him, but it was a gift to me, and I believe my higher power gave that to my father and I at that moment. So it has changed my life ever since that time, and I'm now 30 years sober in Alcoholics Anonymous as of January.